So, one of the most famous stories in the Bible is the 10 plagues in Egypt. And one time, my friend was leading a Bible study and he was teaching through it, and he accidentally said 12 plagues, which got the rest of us to think, what would those other two be? My friends and I, after much discussion, decided that one of those 2 extra plagues had to be zombies.
It's like it's right.
And while there aren't any zombies in the book of Exodus, there are zombies somewhere else in the Old Testament. Today on Yes, That Is Something That Happened in the Bible, we look at the book of Zechariah and how the end of the world may look more like World War Z than you may have realized. Let's begin. So here's the scene. It is the infamous Day of the Lord.
The Day of the Lord!
The Day of the Lord!
The Day of the Lord!
The Day of the Lord! And while the Day of the Lord is described a little bit differently depending on which book you're reading from, they all pretty much tell you that when God comes down from heaven to earth, the world has entered the end game now.
Uh-oh.
But for our video today, we're going to look at Zechariah 14 specifically. And it's here that Zechariah describes that on this day that there's going to be this great battle. Essentially, all these different nations and countries are going to unite and form a giant army and come attack Israel. Specifically, they are laying siege to the city of Jerusalem. So the battle isn't going well for those in Jerusalem. It's kind of like the Battle of Helm's Deep at the end of the Two Towers. You have the gates are being broken down. Some orc just ran with the Olympic torch and dove into a bunch of explosives, causing a huge hole in the wall. And the elves, which were hoping that their star archer would get gold that year, only got bronze. And then as the sun rises, Wizard Jesus shows up and saves the day.
You shall not pass! Although that's a couple
That's the
back,
movie.
but that's okay. We all know.
Yeah. So in the same way, God shows up and just instantly wins the battle because he's God. And so he comes down and he sets up shop down in Jerusalem, and he isn't exactly happy with the people who were attacking his chosen people. And that brings us to our key verse for today. This is Zechariah.
No. This is Zechariah 14:12. But the Lord will bring a terrible disease on the nations that fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh will rot away while they are still standing up. Their eyes will rot in their sockets, and their tongues will rot in their mouths. Ugh.
Let's break this down.
Oh, it's a zombie.
You might hear that description and be like, that doesn't sound quite like a zombie to me. But let's really examine what Zechariah is telling us.
Well done.
The key phrase in all these symptoms is that these are all happening while they are still standing, while they're still on their feet. So think about this picture that he's showing you. These are people walking around with their flesh literally rotting off of them. Maybe there's a bone.
Oh, so nasty.
Maybe there's a bone poking out one place or another. Their eyes have rotted away so that they're not there anymore. And their tongue is gone, so they can't speak. They can just make moaning noises. In other words, they're zombies. So when the end times come, you should be prepared. Make sure that you lock yourself in your house, you board up those windows, and keep a shotgun nearby. The end. So what are 3 takeaways from this? Number 1, it's good to be on God's side. It never works out well for those who fight against God. Number 2, God is more powerful than anything. Because even with this giant army that shows up, God comes down and just instantly wins. And number 3, if you are around when the end times come about, just remember, aim for the head. Thanks for watching. Thank you for those who left a comment with a heart on the previous video on Ananias and Sapphira. That is the reason why I'm doing a video about zombies today. And if you are watching this and confused at what I'm talking about, just go back to watch that video and make sure you watch it all the way through and you'll understand. As always, if you have a suggestion or a comment, leave that in the comments below. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time.